Quarterback, Brock Osweiler, Browns. After Osweiler's awful 2016 season in Houston, the Texans sent Cleveland a second-round pick to take his contract. The lanky quarterback will count $16 million against the cap this season, 17th most at his position, and might not win a starting job. Running back, Chris Ivory, Jaguars. Ivory signed a lucrative deal with Jacksonville last season, only to rush for 439 yards, just 3.8 yards per carry. His cap hit is near $6 million this season, ranking 5th among all running backs, and he could enter the year as the team's third runner after the Jags drafted Leonard Fournette. Fullback, Kyle Juszczyk, 49ers. A Harvard-educated player, Juszczyk did well for himself by signing with San Francisco in the offseason. He now has a $3,750,000 cap hit, which is $1.5 million greater than anyone else at his position. While that should help Juszczyk pay off his student loans, it seems like San Francisco overpaid for a position that's going out of style. Wide receiver, Tavon Austin, Rams. Austin signed a ludicrous 4-year, $42 million extension before last season, and his cap hit this year is near $15 million, third highest in football. He had a career-high 58 receptions for 509 yards last season and could be phased out of new head coach Sean McVay's offense. Wide receiver, Randall Cobb, Packers. Cobb peaked in 2014 with a Pro Bowl appearance, but his production has declined over the last 2 years. Last season he had only 60 receptions for 610 yards, and fell to third among Packers wideouts. Cobb's cap hit above $12.6 million is 7th highest at his position. Tight end, Charles Clay, Bills. Clay has been a consistent contributor since signing with Buffalo in 2015 but far from elite. He had 57 receptions for 552 yards and 4 scores last season, yet his $9 million cap hit is 4th highest among all tight ends. Left tackle, Anthony Castonzo, Colts. Castonzo has the tall task of protecting Andrew Luck's blind side. His $12.8 million cap hit is 3rd highest among left tackles, but Castonzo has never made a Pro Bowl and has generally graded in the middle of the pack at his position. Right tackle, Jeremy Parnell, Jaguars. Parnell has protected the right side of one of the game's worst offensive lines, and garners a $6.5 million cap hit this year, 5th highest among right tackles. Guard, Joel Bitonio, Browns. Bitonio has the 2nd greatest cap hit among guards at more than $12 million, while the Browns' offensive line allowed a staggered 66 sacks last season and struggled running to his side. Guard, Luke Joeckel, Seahawks. Drafted 2nd overall as a tackle in 2013 by the Jaguars, Joeckel's ineffectiveness has forced him to guard. He played only 4 games last season but is set to count more than $7 million against the cap this year, 12th most among guards. Center, Maurkice Pouncey, Steelers. There's no doubt that Pouncey is an elite center, making the Pro Bowl in 5 of his 6 NFL seasons. However, the Steelers are really paying up for his services. Pouncey will count more than $11 million against the cap this year, $2 million more than Alex Mack. Defensive end, Ezekiel Ansah, Lions. Ansah looked like he was worth the money before last season, but the pass rusher had only 2 sacks due to nagging injuries in 2016. With a cap hit of nearly $13 million, the Lions can't afford for Ansah to continue struggling. He's the 4th most expensive player at defensive end. Defensive end, Dante Fowler Jr., Jaguars. The 3rd overall pick in 2015. Fowler missed his rookie season with a knee injury and had only 4 sacks last season. Off-field issues further discouraged the Jags, and Fowler is the 20th biggest cap hit among all defensive ends at more than $6.4 million. Defensive tackle, Marcell Darius, Bills. Darius is the second biggest cap hit among all defensive tackles at $16.4 million, only trailing Makovski. He struggled in Rex Ryan's defense over the last 2 seasons. Darius also missed 4 games due to suspension last season and missed significant time to injury. Outside linebacker, Robert Quinn, Rams. Quinn was an elite pass rusher when he signed an extension with the Rams, but he hasn't been able to stay on the field over the last 2 seasons, playing a total of 17 games with 9 sacks. His cap hit greater than $10.7 million ranks 7th highest among all outside linebackers. Outside linebacker, Tamba Hali, Chiefs. A veteran Chief with 89.5 sacks for his career, Hali started only 2 games last season and finished the year with 3.5 sacks. His cap hit above $8.5 million ranks 11th among all outside linebackers. Inside linebacker, Brian Cushing, Texans. The oft-injured Cushing's play really leveled off last season, finishing the year with just 65 tackles in 13 games despite a $9.3 million cap hit, 4th most among all inside linebackers. He's a candidate to be cut following training camp. Cornerback, Hayden Browns. An elite cornerback early in his career, Hayden has had trouble staying on the field and remaining effective over the last 2 seasons due to concussion and groin issues. Still, he has the 4th highest cap hit among corners at $14.4 million. Cornerback, Sean Smith, Raiders. Smith signed a huge deal with Oakland last season, but the Raiders' secondary struggled for much of the year. He finished with 40 tackles and 2 picks, and seems very overpaid with a $9.5 million cap hit, 13th highest among all cornerbacks. Safety, Tasson Gibson, Jaguars. Coming over from Cleveland, Gibson struggled in his first season with the Jaguars. The free safety had just 41 tackles, 1 interception, and 2 passes defensed. He will count $6.3 million against the cap this year, 9th highest at free safety. Kicker, Sebastian Makovski, Raiders. Makovski hasn't exactly been an elite kicker recently, but he's being paid like it. He made just 83% of his field goals last season and 81% in 2015, but his $4.4 million cap hit is 2nd most at that position. Punter, Brett Kern, Titans. Kern has been a good directional kicker for the Titans, but his 38.6 net punting average was 4th worst in the NFL last season. His $3.3 million cap hit is 4th highest among all punters, however. Long snapper, Charlie Hewlett, Browns. Hewlett has the largest cap hit among all long snappers at more than $1.4 million, so he's the most overpaid player at replaceable position, by default.